Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another bike ride video. Given that these are first impressions videos, I think we should start by just getting on it. Yeah, and because it's an adventure bike, it's onto the peg first and up and across, and then down, because that's how the adventures riders told me to do it. Starting sequence for this is a little bit interesting. It's not... Oh, it just sat down a bit. That's something we'll talk about. But I was told that we need to turn it on and wait for this, and then when you start it, what it does is it finds top dead center and then fires, which is interesting. You know, cool. Must have been pretty close. There's a lot of controls going on here because this has got a lot of functionality. Phones, maps, all of that sort of stuff. You use the app, you use your phone, you use your comms, and it all kind of works. Which is pretty cool. The thing that this does have that I've never actually used before is heated grips, and yeah, I like that idea. I've done about, I don't know, 15-20k. Just had to pop to work to grab SD cards, and then yeah, now we're on our way. I think I decided I want to go out to Piha because that's a fun little ride. Now, when I first got on this, I was thinking, oh man, this is a big bike, and I haven't been on an adventure bike since, man, I think the last adventure bike I went on was when I did the video on the little KTM 390, and this is, I guess, the same, but much bigger. But what I noticed really quickly is that this thing is actually really easy to ride. Once you're on it and moving, it does not feel anywhere near as big and cumbersome as I thought it was going to be, which is obviously awesome because it makes it really easy to ride. But yeah, it's also not hard work by any stretch of the imagination. We do have a bunch of different riding modes, and that's used by this button here. And Mike at North Auckland Harley did show me that you can do quite a few different things with those modes. You can turn off all the ones that you don't actually want to use that much. Like if this is a road touring bike for you and you never go off-road, you can actually just remove the off-road functionality from your quick select, which is a bit cool. And there's obviously custom modes, so you can make it do whatever you want. Certainly on I have had a little bit of seat time on the Desert X from Ducati, and with that one what people tend to be doing was get it super supple and super off-roady, but then dial the power back a bit because the power from that bike off-road was quite a lot. This, I'm told, is 150 horsepower. Now my butt dyno would be skeptical of that, but I mean, I'm not saying that they're lying, but what I'm saying is it doesn't feel like a lot. It doesn't feel like nothing by any stretch of imagination. It does have a lot of get up and go, but this definitely feels like a horsepower engine as opposed to a torquey engine, which just makes a riding experience a little bit different. It just seems to be a little bit higher in the rev range. Now, for those of you that recognise where we are in Auckland here, you'll see that I have moved since we last did a bike review video, which is exciting. You know, North Shore people now, close to the North Auckland Harley Davidson, which is amazing. But yeah, North Shore people, man, they're weird, they're crazy, they're snobs. Oh, that's got some pick up and go. I tell you, the first thing as soon as I jumped on this, I was like, oh my god, I'm so high. Like, you know, on the bike, not it's a different conversation. It's so windy today. My riding position for this is very, what I would use the word attentive. I feel very upright and like I'm paying attention for a change, which I guess is a good thing, but I am used to my forward controls and my feet are out here. I guess if you really wanted to, you could put something on these cages. Oh, actually, straight on the cages. Hey, woohoo, forward controls. It's so windy! Oh my god! That's intimidating when I'm this high up. Actually, since we're on a motorway, let's get out of off-road. There's a rain mode. Road, there we go, road. What I've actually noticed is where that little icon is there, when you first press it, it's not backlit. I'm going to sport, and then it'll figure itself out, and then in a sec it'll go, there we go, it's backlit. So that's kind of cool. So it like at any time you just hit the button, and then as soon as it gets the opportunity it will sort its life out and put it in the mode that you want. So that's pretty cool, all on the fly. And it does actually make quite a difference. Like even from there, it feels a lot more tippy, which is cool. We'll just tip it, and we just tip it. It is so easy. Actually, I think I noticed the suspension firmed up a bit there too. So I didn't get lost. I decided that we would just do a little bit more around the city riding, because I thought that was super important, you know, to try it out, because some people will use these as commuters. Yeah. Also, just found out that the brakes on this are phenomenal. Wow, these brakes are good. They've got a couple of big Brembos up the front there, one either side. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, but this thing hauls up real quick. Considering how big and heavy this thing is, I was actually remarkably surprised at how well this thing stops. Do you sing in your helmet? I do. I do. My pillion was singing in her helmet yesterday. Not amazingly well, but loud. Oh, actually, hill start. So check this out. So keep your eye on there. What we're going to do is we're going to hold the front brake a little extra. And now we've got hill start. So I'm going to let my hands off that. Foot's now off. And we're not moving. Hill start assist. You kind of do feel it a little bit through the lever once it's engaged, but effectively what that's going to do is, until it can tell that we want to ride forward, it's just going to hold that. Like, I'm no feet, no hands, no nothing, and that's quite a neat party trick. I would say that would be really, really comfortable if you're fully loaded up with a pillion and, you know, you're passing through a city or a town or whatever, and you just cannot be bothered. See that? Just put a revs and away we go. This bike gets a lot of looks, like almost more than my bike, which is concerning because my bike's really, 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 really awesome. Hello. Okay, now that we're on the correct motorway, let's try the acceleration. Oh, let's go. Oh, that likes to get up and boogie. I think I will eat my words from earlier when I said it didn't feel very peppy. Shit, man, that can get up and go. I am in sport mode though, so perhaps being in off-road mode it was a bit subdued. But yeah. But on the motorway, this thing is very cruisy. It's very stable, very smooth. So a couple of takeaways from my quick motorway jaunt. Firstly, something I noticed was that when you get wind, it is a particularly windy and gusty day today, and what I noticed is that it's the bike that takes it, not me. Like normally on pretty much most bikes, I think, and unless you've got real big fairings, you're going to feel the wind hit you in the chest, whereas this, I don't feel any wind on me really at all. Like, I've got quite the bubble between the windshield and the guards and all that sort of thing, certainly on my top half. But what that translates to is when you do get a gust of a head-on wind, is that it seems to be like that you can feel the bike absorb it, which is something that I'm not used to. I'm sure some of you are used to it. It was just different for me. And the other thing I also noticed was I was sitting at exactly the speed limit because I always do that, but what I calculated very quickly mathematically in my head without any real testing was if you were to be cruising at, say, I don't know, let's say 135, which you should never ever do because that's illegal and we don't do that, but if you were, judging by the ratios that I checked in the gearbox, that would put you at about 5,000 RPM in 6th gear, which is quite high. The other thing is I don't really know any adventure riders to ride with, and I get the impression it's kind of like caravanning, where it's like you just throw your keys in the bowl, and I'm not about that. If you remember, or if those of you don't know, Auckland got some pretty gnarly flooding back in January, which is, you know, 6, 7, 8, a long time ago, and yeah, a lot of Auckland really hasn't recovered from it, and I think people that are not out here don't really notice that. You know, there are a few places around Auckland where you can still see it, where there's big slips and stuff, but oh, let's use that hill start, there we go. But there's certainly a lot of roads like this where it's all still down to one lane, and heaps of people live out here and they have to deal with this every day. So hey, Piha, one of my favourite places. Let's go to the lookout. I have done so many photo shoots up and down that beach with various models because it is such a dramatic setting. I like it a lot. Let's go down a little bit closer. But man, this thing is so easy to ride. I've said it about 10 times, but it is very, very easy to ride. Like, I'm literally just holding the throttle so we don't decelerate, and I'm just using my hips. It's so responsive. Mike was quite right in saying that just ride it like a naked sports bike. That's what I'm doing. And it's only on the real tight corners that you realise how much higher up you are. And considering I was on this road yesterday on my bike, I can certainly say that being on an adventure bike with big cushy suspension, it's a lot smoother today, which is cool. Do you know what? After my idea of having forward controls on this, well, having forward footrests on these guards, never once used them. But now that I'm like this, it's actually super comfy. I think this should be a feature. Whee! Actually, no, I don't. This is a shit idea. And now it's been off-road. Yeah, see here how half the road's fallen away. It's quite a big slip there. That's what I was talking about with how messed up some of the roads are out in this area. Now, I hope nobody watched this video hoping for like an educated review, because I am not educated, certainly not in the adventure motorcycle category. But I certainly know that a lot of the guys that rode them early on, some of the people that I watch on YouTube, like Blockhead and people like that, really enjoyed them. But also, more importantly, a lot of the traditional ADV riders did ride them, and they said that in terms of the category, when you compare them to other things like the KTM adventures and things like that, that they really do hold their own, and in some ways are actually better, which is, I guess, really a testament to Harley Davidson to say, hey, well look, we're going to try a thing, and they knocked it out of the park. They certainly did a lot of advertising around this model, but when they were releasing it, it was a lot of noise. Windy for the next 4 kilometers, yes please. I'm still trying to figure out with this thing where it really wants to be in the rev range. It sort of seems to be about that 3,000 to 4,000 RPM that it likes to pull out of corners, you know, when you sort of roll on that throttle. Doesn't seem to be super high revvy, but I'm also a bit conscious that this bike's only got 400 kilometers on it, so I don't really want to ride it too hard before it's had its first service. So easy to flick, and confidence inspiring. I've said it before, but like, so much confidence to just throw this thing in, and it's like, yep, we're gonna do that thing. But yeah, I pulled up at Piha and actually bumped into a really good friend of mine who was out doing a family day, and completely forgot to sort of think, am I feeling comfortable? And I really am. Oh, adventure rider. No, oh, BMW drivers, the worst people in the world. And what, yeah, as I was saying, so I didn't really think, am I comfortable, am I uncomfortable, am I sore, is there anything that hurts? Nothing's sore, nothing's uncomfortable. In terms of that comfort, I mean, I've only really been on the bike for an hour, with a bit of a faff around town and then heading out to Piha. And yeah, no, totally comfortable. I am, as recommended, riding it in a position much as you would a naked sports bike, and that seems to be working out well for me. As we get a bit aggressive in the riding, or spirited perhaps is a better word to use, I'm getting a little bit closer to the tank. I did try sitting back a bit, and like I do on my bike, and then kind of going arch of the foot, and that just doesn't seem like the thing I want to be doing. It is nice standing up though when I'm doing that. I wonder what this is like to ride in boots, because I have no adventure gear, so I can't. I think if I was doing proper adventure riding on this bike, then I would go and get all the proper adventure riding gear, but I'm just in my normal riding bits, so oh well. What is that? What is it? Oh! That's different. How much? 5 million? Can I get 2? Well, safely back to North Auckland Harley Davidson in one piece. I gotta say, what a machine. Like, the way that this thing rides is just not at all what I expected. You know, like when you're up and you're riding and you're doing road stuff, it's super planted, and then you get into some rough roads and it still feels super planted but plush, like, and like that motor, that's a hell of a motor. Mike was saying that he's got this bike and he's got a an exhaust system on it, and it sounds quite nice, and I don't think it needs a lot. I think it'd be nice just to know that it's there. But yeah, man, really surprised. And I definitely think, like I said, the only few things that I would probably do if I got one would be some more comfortable grips that I would prefer. These are fine, but you know, I would set up the bars in a slightly different way, maybe do a quad lock with a phone with a charger and whatnot. But yeah, that shower suspension, man, for what it is, such a big bike. Hell, it just rides so good. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching my impressions video. Like I said, it's not a review, I don't know what I'm talking about, I just like riding bikes. I'm back on my baby now, and I had a couple of afterthoughts. This was in getting serviced and a sort of good overhaul to get her all prepped and happy for summer. She's got a clean bill of health, so that's good. But yeah, I thought there was a couple of afterthoughts I thought I'd just sort of mention, because there's always the things you think about after. And one of the ones that I thought was important to mention is wind buffeting, because not everybody runs a windshield, and that did have a windshield. So that windshield on the Pan America is adjustable, and I did try it in a few different positions. The utmost position didn't actually work for me. I went back one click, which sort of let it stay upright more, and I found that for context, I'm 6'2", and it's not important how heavy I am for this conversation, but yeah, 6'2" and like pretty well proportioned, so my head was probably about eye level with the top of the windscreen in the position that I had it in for most of the ride. And what I found was I had absolutely no buffeting at all. It was a very, very smooth, nice little bubble that I was in, which I like. I mean, you can see on my bike I've done the handguards and the windshield and stuff, which gives me that same sort of experience. And with the Pan America, it was the same, and it was, I would actually arguably say, better than this bike, because the windshield was slightly taller and just more modern aerodynamics. Like this one doesn't have a lip on it, but it's yeah, no, it was good. And I think just, yeah, my takeaway experience from that Pan America was just utter comfort, the refinement that Harley Davidson now has to be competitive and I guess to an extent relevant in that market with people that want new things. See, like, I'm, as you can tell, a bit more of a purist. I like the rattle and the rumble and all of that sort of thing, but yeah, anyway, yeah, thanks again for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Thanks again to North Auckland Harley Davidson for letting me take the Pan America out. Always appreciate that, and yeah, we'll get back into some more of these real soon. Jump on the social media if you're not already. Heaps of cool stuff happening over there. I'll link it in the video description below. And yeah, we'll hang out soon. Cheers, team.